My name's Jem. I'm an alcoholic. Sure, you'd think I'd be used to this by now, considering what I do for a living, but this is way scarier. This feels like I'm very grateful to be here. This feels like I've been studying for a year, and this is my prac, and like everyone's here, and they're like, "Cool, let's see what you got. Go." I know it's not really like it, but yeah. So, what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit about how I got, how it all started, sort of how I got here and what I've learned along the way. I remember when I first got into treatment, I went to one of my first meetings. I was at the house on the hill. The name we're not allowed to say, it was Cedars. I was at Cedars. And someone was doing their 1 year share. And I remember thinking, yo, man, 1 year, that's incredible. They must be so filled with love and peace and serenity and knowledge. And man, how great would it be to be there? And I can't believe the time's gone so fast. I'm here now, and I'll be honest, I'm not filled with all those things. I'm not filled with love and peace and serenity and all this stuff. I feel like I'm more mad now than I've ever been. Actually, I think it's because I'm just more aware of my defects now. But that being said, I'm very, very grateful to be here, because even on a really, really shit day, I just think back to where I was a year ago, just an empty, a hot mess of rage and freaking loneliness and pain and bullshit. So even a really bad day now, like that saying, even my worst days in recovery are far better than my best days in active, and it's so true, man. So no matter what happens, every day I can just be grateful that I'm not where I was. My childhood, very briefly, very, very, very normal, full of love. Grew up in Durban North. Very normal family. My parents are such good, loving people that, they had 2 boys, and then they decided, let's get 2 more. So they adopted another 2. And just a lot of love, man, and pretty much had whatever I wanted. But that being said, I'm a spoiled brat. That is sort of that's like my main defect, just a spoiled brat. I remember, getting into treatment, and they say, hey, this is a place of love, man. You got to love yourself, but also here's a list of 16 reasons why you're a dick. And all of those character defects, man, honestly, I thought I was a good guy. I thought the world owed me stuff. I thought, the world had done me wrong, and God had screwed me over and all that stuff. And then I realized, I'm a selfish brat, really, and I've been like that since I was 4 years old. Just demanding and difficult and wanting my own way to the detriment of everyone else. I didn't care, to the point where, for Christmas, if I didn't get better presents than my brothers or more than my brothers, I would have a shit fit and kind of just ruin the day for everyone. And I think I made my parents sick, because they would know that I was like this, so then they would deliberately give me more, just if Jem's happy, then we can all have a happy day. And for me, that was normal, and I thought it was normal. And I grew up, and I kind of took that through into my adult life, and it's not normal. It's not okay, But now I know what my defects are, and it took me about 3 or 4 days in treatment to get over the fact that I learn my truth. But I'm so grateful because you can only, they say you can only see when you can see, and you can only fix something when you know there's a problem. So growing up was pretty normal. I'm a very jealous person. One of my main defects. I was very, very hard on my brothers growing up. One in particular, I just couldn't stand the fact that he had something that I didn't. You know what I mean? Just a raging defect, and I never sorted it out, and I never dealt with it. I never knew how to, and I put him through quite a bit of hell, And only years later, I realized this. Going to my teenage years, high school was pretty hard. I was a very late developer. So I was 16 years old, and I still looked like I was about 11, you know. And that really, really, really fucked me quite badly, because I started to isolate. I started to really hate on myself in a big way. Had a lot of shame and guilt and anger. That's when my anger started sort of to grow. And then I went to a doctor, and I got onto, like he suggested, I get into a really intense hormone therapy, like hormone injections. So for about 3 months, I had these testosterone injections, and they worked, man. You know, I gained about a head of height and about 12 kgs in about literally 2 months. It was insane. I think my voice broke in like a week and a half. People didn't know who I was on the phone. Like, you know, 2 weeks ago it was Jem, and then 2 weeks later they're like, hello, Rodney, which is my dad. And I was like, no, it's Jem. And they're like, shut up, Rodney. But that kind of like kick-started the way I have felt about myself since then, literally for the last like 22 years. Just deep shame and deep inadequacy about who I am as a man, and just unable to accept myself on any level. You know, and just hugely angry at everyone. And my family tried. They tried so hard. My parents tried so hard. All they did was try to love the shit out of me. And I guess I used this. You know, I learned years later, this was the perfect excuse for me to do whatever the hell I wanted, whenever I wanted. All the shit that I did to all the people I did to, it didn't hurt me, because I was like, you don't know what I've been through. You know, people try like help me, and I'll be like, fuck you, you don't know shit. I've been through hell. You don't understand my pain, and I'll never tell you because I'm special and different, and just rage. And you know, and I started drinking kind of late. I suppose I'm a late developer, so everything happened a few years later than normal. Maybe in my sort of early mid 20s. And I think back to that and the drugs and stuff, and you know, when I was high or whatever, that's the only time I ever felt okay. You know, irregardless of all the shit that came afterwards, like the next few days or whatever I did when I was out and whatever. But when I was on it, I felt at peace. It's the only time I ever felt peace, and all my rage would literally just evaporate, and it was amazing. It was incredible. I mean, I'm not advocating drugs and stuff. We've all done it. You know, and a friend in the fellowship says to me, that sounds great, but play that story through to the end. Yeah, I had an amazing time, but then for the next 2, 3, 4 days, next week or whatever, I was an absolute mess. All my shit would come back times 10. I used to go AWOL, like I would disappear and just hide out for like 2 days. And my friends, people who knew me, they knew. They'd try phone and stuff. Oh, Jim's been on a bender because he's disappeared for like, you know, 2 days. And I'd resurface like on a Wednesday or whatever, and I'd be okay to face the world again. And then I'd do it again, you know, the next weekend or whatever, and that became the cycle. But the point is, that's the only time I ever felt peace, and I wasn't angry, and I felt good, and I felt like alive. You know, obviously that worked for a little while, and then it stopped working, which sucks, you know. Trying to adult has always been hard for me. You know, then I met my soon-to-be ex-wife, and she was very sick, and I was very sick, and the two of us, we were just like a freaking atom bomb of not okay. And we used together for a good few years, and that was our life. Our life was using and fighting, and then recovering for a few days, and then doing it again. And I mean, on the outside, we were doing well. We had good jobs. I had a really good job. We bought a really nice house. We had a couple of cars and stuff. So on the outside, and my parents were genuinely proud. They were like, "Yo, man, look at my boy. He's doing well." And you know, but on the inside, I was dying, man. My marriage was, it was sick. Sick is a pretty good word to describe it. And then we were kind of forced to have a child before you know. Kaz had, you know, problems with cervical cancer almost. So the doctor, after a few years of treatment, he was like, "This is not going away. So if you guys want to have a kid, maybe you should think about it." I didn't want to. I absolutely didn't want to. I was way too selfish and self-obsessed. And but thank God we did. And life was good, man, for at least the first year, because this little gift from God just came into our lives. And for the first time in many years, I was not completely and utterly obsessed with myself. You know, it wasn't all about me for the first time. It was about this little blessing. And I was so in love with him, man. And I remember, I distinctly have a memory of holding him in my hand like a little spatchcock chicken when he'd just been born. And I was like almost in tears because of how much love I had for this little thing that I'd only just met. And I remember looking at his mother and going, oh my God, like that's not love, that's like sick. And I remember thinking that, you know, because I thought that was love. I thought that's what you did. But clearly it wasn't. And things were good. I was happy for about a year and a half. You know, all my shit hadn't been dealt with, but it had been put aside. We'd stopped using for at least a year. I suppose I was a dry drunk. So I was still raging. I still had my issues. Still very, very, very angry. And just the self-loathing. I find it hard to describe how much self-loathing I had. Just deep shame. You know, another aspect of my life is what I've always done is I've isolated myself from everyone and everything. You know, I have friends and people who want to be in my life, and I'll let them in to a certain point. As soon as it passes a line where, you know, where they can like discover who I really am, or like get too close, or like I would cut it off, man, without even thinking. And I still do it. I still do it to this day. I really struggle to open up to people. To have friends and to understand or to accept that they want to be my friend just because of the way I am, you know. Just recently, there's someone in the fellowship we get on well, and initially it was cool, and it was superficial and kiff, and we would meet at meetings, and it was cool, and now he's like, he wants to take it to another level. And I find myself subconsciously sabotaging that shit, or if he phones, I won't answer. I won't answer the phone, and like, it's sick, it's not okay, you know. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, so then we started using again. You know, obviously Kaz, things got out of hand really quickly for her. I still had a pretty good job, so I was really trying to not drink during the week and just keep it for the weekends. But, you know, and she went to rehab and all of that. And I remember just being filled with such rage because I felt like she had screwed me over, you know, with all the things that she did in our marriage and stuff. And for 5 years, I held on to that, and I used that to use and do whatever the hell I wanted, because I've been like hurt, and look what this chick did to me, and like it's not okay, and you don't understand my pain and all that bullshit. And it took me about 2.5 months in treatment to see that, like, I was a bad husband, man. I never had affairs and stuff, and that's what I always hung on to. But I never loved. I don't really know how to love. That's the thing. You know that cliche, like, you got to love yourself, man, before you love anyone else. You know, my sponsor says to me, he's like, you got to just love yourself, man. I'm like, fuck, how do you do that? How the hell do you like just do that? You just wake up and go, cool, I love myself now. I don't know how to do it, and I still don't know how to do it. But I do know that until I can accept myself, I cannot accept love from anyone else or love them fully. That being said, my son literally has saved my life. Because like I said, I didn't know what love was till he came along. He's the only person on this planet that I absolutely and utterly adore, with no conditions, no resentment, none of that bullshit that I bring into everything in my life. He's just pure love, and I swear that's like saves my life, because that's like the pinnacle of love for me. So I never loved her. And she knew it. And all I did was resent her for all the things she wasn't, and she was sick, and I was sick, and yeah. So then I got into rehab, and full of rage. A lot of the guys who we talk now, and they tell me that, like, yes, bro, I was in treatment with you. You were. It wasn't anger; it was rage. I was so full of rage and suicidal for many years. You know, I was so hopeless because I didn't have a program. I had nothing, and I never reached out, and I didn't know how to, and I was just the very epitome of living in the problem. You know, as opposed to living in the solution. That's where I was, and I didn't. I was suicidal for about 5 years, but I was too scared to kill myself, because I've always had like faith, and I just felt that wouldn't be the right thing to do, and I was too scared to live. So for several years I was stuck in this really shitty, dark place where my poor parents didn't know what to do, man. Like at Christmas, they would all go to a big Christmas thing with the family like normal. I would stay home by myself because I just couldn't bear to be around people, and I didn't feel worthy, and I was so full of all my bullshit. And that was my life. And I hid it so well that even several years later, I remember telling my one brother, like, bro, I wanted to kill myself for like 5 years. And he was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, yeah, bro, it was really bad. And he had no idea, because that's how I lived. I didn't let anyone in, you know. And I basically faked my whole adult life up until treatment, not in like a malicious way because I wanted to like manipulate people and stuff, just because I was so damn scared to be who I was, and I couldn't accept who I was, and I didn't feel worthy, and all that bullshit. And I was really good at it. I was really, 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 really good at it. I learned in rehab. My first 2 weeks in rehab were amazing. I thought I was doing so great. I was walking around, cracking jokes, making people laugh, fitting in, getting all that affirmation, and then I got completely cut down in a concerns group, and because I was using humor as a mask. And I don't know, I've done this since I was a teenager. I've been practicing to be a comedian since I was about 13. It's only in my middle 20s that people actually pay me now, you know, to do that. And so then they put me on a joke ban. So for like 5 weeks, I couldn't tell a joke. Which sounds easy, but not if that's your whole persona and that's how you hide your feelings. So it was really, really hard, and I messed up a lot. I told a lot of jokes, and people are like, well, like it would just come out, and people would be laughing, but dude, you can't do that. That's funny, but don't do that again, you know. And I learned to for the first time just be real and you know, not put up masks. And it's hard. I'm still learning that, you know, and it's going to take me a long time. But, you know, that's what I learned. And now, that's what I say, a year later, I realize now how far I still have to go, you know, and it is a Just for Today program. And I get that, and thank goodness for that, because if I look at how much work I still have to do and where I still need to go, I can get very overwhelmed. That's another thing I do. Like, I just wasn't present. The last few months of my active days, it got to the point where I didn't even give a shit about my own son anymore. I wasn't present. I would look at him and feel absolutely nothing. And I think that's when I started realizing I was really, really sick, because I'd always, no matter what had happened, I was always like, I always felt love for him, and I was always there for him. And as far as I knew, he was happy and looked after. Turned out that wasn't really the case. You know, a couple months into rehab, he visited me every Sunday, sweet boy. And I said to him after about 2 months, I said, you know what, Dad's in here? And he said, yeah. And I said, why? Thinking that he would say, because Dad, you drink, and maybe do drugs, I don't know. And he says, because you're so angry. And yo, man, that cut me deep, because like that is exactly why I was in treatment. I wasn't in treatment because I was abusing drugs and alcohol, you know. I was in treatment because I didn't know how to live, and I was so freaking angry at all the shit that I dragged with me my whole life, and all the stuff that I wasn't dealing with. And the only time I got relief from that was when I was high or drunk. That's the only time. So, you know, trust a kid to like really cut through the bullshit. And you know, and first, you know, then we went on a family holiday at Christmas for 2 weeks. We all went to Cape Town, and it was amazing. It was the best holiday ever, but I hated pretty much every day of it because I was such a mess. And that was actually when I realized, like, I can't carry on like this, you know, because nothing makes me happy, and I just like, yeah, no gratitude, not even, can't be present at all, just not present at all. Like, you know, the whole saying, like alone, feeling lonely in a crowded room. That's, you know, that's pretty much what my life had become. And then for New Year's, I isolated, didn't take any calls, I was ignoring everyone. I went to a restaurant and just drank by myself. And I started getting a bit self-conscious because everyone was partying and there were families and friends having a good time, and I was literally just at a table, just, you know, doing my thing. So then I just got my food to go, and I went home, and I decided, and the whole way home I was like, I'm going to go to the club and I'm going to do what I always do and just get completely smashed just to have relief for a few hours. But I had no money because all my money was wrapped up in this comedy festival we'd done, and I had no money. I had like $200, and that is I'd like to think that I was strong enough to stay home, but the real reason was I literally had no money, and I needed at least a couple grand to do what I wanted to do. So I just sat on my bed and ate pizza alone, drunk, like sad, like total emo kid. And then, and the thing is, Kaz, like bless her, man, for like 2-3 years, you know, she's obviously known what I needed, and she never forced it on me. I would, you know, fuck out, and then a few days later, she'd be like, you know what you need, Jem? And I'd always be like, shut up, I don't need that. You're an alcoholic. I'm not like you. You don't understand, and all that crap. For like 3 years, and she never pushed it. And then eventually, that on New Year's Day, I messaged her and said, okay, I'll go to rehab. She thought I was joking. She's like, that's not even funny. This is serious. Like, don't joke like that. And I said, no, I really mean it. And she's like, cool, I'll make a call. You can go tomorrow. And then I was like, oh shit, what have I done? Wait, give me till Wednesday. But yeah, the point is, I was a mess, Jeez. And I'm grateful for that, you know, that rock bottom, the gift of desperation. Because without it, I wouldn't have gone. I was so desperate and so done. Like, I was like, I'm going to kill myself, but I don't even give a shit enough to kill myself. So, this is literally the only thing I have. And, like, I've always been worried about being in, like, a room with 5 other guys and all that shit, like, you know, because I'm very used to isolating, and I'm quite socially awkward, and all that. I didn't even care. I didn't even give a shit. They put me into a room with about 7 guys that night. I didn't care. And that was the start of my journey, or the recovery part of my journey. And it's been hard, man. It's been hard, but shit, it's been worth it. If I've learned one thing in the last 12 months, it's action. Because I spent my whole life living deep in the problem, you know, and refusing to move. And that's how I've always been. And you know, recovery is about putting in action, man. Just for today, just do the next right thing, bro. Just try it. Just like, and I swear to God, like, that's my experience is when I put in action, I get results. It's as simple as that. It's guaranteed. They're definitely not always the results I want, but it's a result, and it's something different to where I was, and then I can go from there, you know. And having the support and help, that's stuff that I've never reached out to people. I've always been very, very, very cagey about how I really feel about shit. Even to this day, I struggle to phone my sponsor. He's such a good guy, man, and I got love for him, and he's so good to me. But I'll go like 2 weeks without phoning him. I do see him every Tuesday at a meeting, and we chat. But sometimes I'll look at his number on the phone, and I'm like, come on, just give him a call, just talk. But especially if I'm struggling with stuff, you know, it's very hard for me to share it. So when I got out of treatment, I was, maybe it was my ego or whatever, I was like, I've done 4 months, I'm cool. I'm done now, I'm cured. You know, and even though they said, don't do that because you're gonna fall down. You need to do 90 and 90. Like, 90 for what? I'm not doing that, I'm cool. And I think my first week I did like 3 meetings. My second week I did 2. My third week I did 1. And then I decided to quit smoking. And my sponsor said, I don't think you should do that. I was like, whatever, I'll do what I want. My God, I nearly lost the plot, I promise you. Like, every defect I've ever had, plus other people's defects, came through me, and just... But the point is, I nearly lost the plot, man. And my sponsor said, you're on the brink of a relapse. I'm telling you right now, you're going to relapse. You need to get back into the program and you know, get back in there. And so I did. I jumped back in, and within like 3-4 days, immediately, I was like feeling better. But I'm quite stubborn, and I'm quite a slow learner, I guess, because I've done that another twice this year, where I kind of get complacent, and maybe it's my ego or laziness, and after about a week or 2, I start fucking out again, and all my bullshit comes back, and all the resentments I worked through in treatment start creeping back into my life, and before I know it, I'm like raging and I'm not okay. And then I jump back into my meetings and I phone my sponsor and I do what I need to do. And I've learned 3 times is enough. It's sore. I don't want to go back there, man. And I'm so grateful. I've started this about 6 months ago. I started a gratitude thing every night because every day, every morning, every night I get on my knees, man, and I'm trying to work on a relationship with the God of my understanding, and it helps. And I just try to do what I need to do every day, and I find that with the gratitude list, I was never grateful. I had an amazing life. Like my childhood was picture perfect. Literally, I had everything I wanted plus more. I had so much that I didn't realize how much I had because it's what I always had. So I didn't really give a shit about anything, And now I'm really focusing on having gratitude, and the list is long. Like I can do a long list, but I try each night I just focus on maybe 3 or 4 cool things for the day, And if nothing else, I'm grateful to be sober today, because I think back. Don said a while ago. He said every morning he gets on his knees and he thinks about the deepest, darkest hole he was ever in. And he pictures that. And when I do that, I'm immediately grateful because I know I'm not there today. And they talk about the gifts of recovery. Man, what's the main promise is freedom from our addiction. That need, that want to just get fucked all the time and run away from our problems and drink. And that went months ago. That went in treatment, And if that's all that recovery brought me, that would be incredible. That would be an amazing thing. But it's so much more. Like it really, really is. I know they say it's not about material things and getting a new car and making money, and it's not. But those things come. They do come with all the other things. Like I have relationships with my family now that I never had before. And that's amazing, My brother's here today, and my parents are good people. I have friends now. I don't have a lot of friends because I still have issues with that. But I'm not lonely like I used to be, and life is good, even when life is shit, like in inverted commas, it's never shit. But even when it's a tough day, like I say, there's always something to be grateful for. And at the end of the day, I'm sober, man. And I got hope. I never had hope. I was completely hopeless for years. Like hopeless, suicidally hopeless. And I don't have that now. I'm excited for life, I'm excited for the year for the first time ever. Like I'm excited for what's going to come this year. And I'm trying really, really hard to give up control, because that's another thing. Like I'm a control freak. I like to control everything. If I can control shit, then it'll happen the way I want, and nothing out of the ordinary will happen to affect me or hurt me or get me rejected or whatever. So I control everything. I'm trying really hard to know that I have no control, and I never had control, And every morning, I pray to the God of my understanding, take my will in my life, and just guide me, because this is your day. I'm just in it, and I'll try my best, man. And I'm probably going to fuck up a few times, but I'm trying. So, I feel like that's about sort of it's just a lot of gratitude, and it's hard. It is hard, and no one ever said it was going to be easy. Hey, do this program and boom, you'll be cured. Yes, I have days sometimes. Days where I'm where I have no gratitude and I'm pissed off and I'm jealous and resentful and just fucking out like the a-hole that I used to be, or that I still am, I think. And it's hard. But I know that when I put in action, I get results, and that's the bottom line. I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's as simple as that. They always say it's a simple program, we complicated it, and we do. It's dead simple. Just do the next right thing, man, just for today. But, I complicate it, and I bring in other shit, and I worry about shit that doesn't matter. I'm still completely self-obsessed with the way I look, my body. The other day, I bought one of that USN gym stuff. I mean, I gym a little bit, at home. I got a few little weights. But this guy at the disc chem was huge, and he's like, "Bro, you should try this." And he said, This is an all-in-one. It's a testosterone boost. I was like, stop, you had me at testosterone boost. I won't take a big one. It's like 900 Rand. I'll take a small one and see how I go. But yeah, I'll probably be back. And like that's what I do. Like the bottom line is I'm not okay with how I look, and I'm not okay with it. I don't know how to be okay with it, except I know that if I gym and I try to stay fit, and then it helps me a bit. But that's my journey, and I am very grateful, and I'm grateful for you guys and for this fellowship, because I swear to God, without it, I have nothing, man. I do 3 to 4 meetings a week now, not because I have to, I do have to, but not because I have to, because I want to, like I want to, and I get real pleasure out of it, and life is pretty good. Yeah, so thanks for letting me share.